I don't have a book recommendation, so now I'm gonna have to think about that. Didn't know we were doing that today. Hi, thanks for having me. Oh, here's the button. Let's see. Let's get into this. Very quickly, the VEMI lab, what we do is we study the way that humans interact with technology. And this is done in many different ways, and there's a tour at 3. So it's Aaron, verify 3? 3, thank you. There's a tour at 3 if you want to come and dig into it, but for the sake of shortening everything down, I'm just going to skip over a lot of this. The way we start to look at AI interfaces is kind of synonymous with the way in which we're looking at autonomous vehicles. AI, autonomous vehicles, the two go together. If you can think in terms of now we're getting into a system in which we are not used to or comfortable with, a lot of people say to me, how is autonomous difficult? And I say, well, in an airplane, when they hit that little button, you have 2 fully trained, qualified pilots who are trained to take over a vehicle, specifically an airplane, if something happens. I'm not sure who has autonomous vehicle training in the room to take over a vehicle. Sarah, maybe? But they don't watch it. Yeah, there we go. But that's one of our big concerns is how are we, and that's number one for VEMI, is how are the humans dealing with this technology as we move forward? I bring this up a lot. People ask me and say, like, how are these little software companies and stuff going to be able to keep up with the big automotive companies? Aren't they just going to have this solved in the next few years? Here's the reason why I always bring up the hammer. Imagine you are the best hammer manufacturer in the world. A hammer is a tool. Everyone knows how to use a hammer. There's a nail, you hit the darn thing, you move forward. Now imagine that you do not have any control of the hammer at all and you have to tell it what you want it to do. Say you want it to go halfway in on a wall to putting up a coat. Say you want a toenail at the bottom of this. This is very difficult for everyone to make this switch over, especially when your car company been around for 100 years, who've been making tools for us for that long, who now have to switch to realize that now we're a service company who is trying to serve all of us who have all our different quirks and features and shapes, sizes, issues, all that stuff, and it gets a lot more difficult. This is part of where we're digging into this. Jonathan brought this up earlier. We're talking fully autonomous vehicles. We're starting to look at all vehicles, including flight and everything that comes with it. But we're not at all staring at Tesla's, this level 5 autonomy is our thing. So that means I can skip that. That's good. Here's just some of the areas that we're really starting to focus in on. We're looking at navigation. We're starting to look at age and how that affects us. Age specifically, a lot of the car companies are very excited about getting kids under 16 in autonomous vehicles. They claim they have the data for this. I still think the parents are going to have some issues with it, but that's okay. We also have a lot of people like over 75. That's about the time when people start to think about whether or not they can drive. Well, now you can with a fully autonomous vehicle. I bring up geographic vernacular a lot. That's a big problem. People have different terms for different things in different regions, different towns, different areas. Gestures, which is something I'm going to cover really quickly here. Ride sharing, which Jonathan brought up. General trust in AI is a huge issue. We've been doing a lot of studies on this. Actually, we're about to have a paper about to come out on this, if I remember correctly, but and then cognitive issues. And cognitive issues can be from some sort of medical issue, or it could be you're just too damn drunk to talk to the vehicle. These are concerns moving forward. One of the big areas of study right now is entry and egress from vehicles. How do you get people to a vehicle? How do you get from the vehicle out? Especially in our big focus area is the blind and visually impaired. And that is a bigger problem than you think, because Uber drivers today can honk a horn or lean down their window and say, hey, over here. How do you do that moving forward? Especially when my favorite entry issue is that if you imagine that, You've all gone down the Fenway, the game gets out, and then you've got an autonomous vehicle coming to pick you up, and you've decided that you have a Chevrolet autonomous vehicle, and you walk out and there's 16 black identical looking vehicle. How do you find it? And that's an actual problem that's dealing with in the automotive world, and that's one we're dealing with too. Uh, Gesture recognition, this is a lot of work that we did, and we've done some work with Toyota in this area. Actually, I think Dr. Fink is over there who's done a lot of work in this. Actually, he's got a patent in some of this area, starting to look at how gestures and how we're going to be able to move inside, how people are going to be able to signal, how it's going to be able to recognize. Simple things, guys, like, what's that? These are things that we're starting to deal with. Trust in AVs is a big area for us. One of the things that if anyone comes for the tour, you'll see in the simulator, we're now putting people in there, the ability, and it's some work we're going to be doing with the Maine DOT here moving forward. How do we actually start to show people that the car knows there is a person crossing the road? To reduce that anxiety as people are sitting in cars. Let's see here. And then finally, we're getting into looking at phone interfaces. One of the biggest things that came out of our data, and this is a really interesting argument between the companies that are making autonomous vehicle software. Everyone we've been testing, we see a very, very high percentage of people that want the customization on their phone. They work very, very hard to make these accessible the way you like it. And all the car companies are trying to keep all of their software in-house and control it, inside. So no Android Auto or CarPlay is a big issue that's been all over the news lately. That's been more and more interesting as we find out that these are completely customized to each of us, which, again, you get when you become a service company and not a tool company, it's a switch over. The future, we don't know. I put this up here as a joke, but we're going to start looking at like hazard communication and a lot more of communication between the people in the car and the people outside the car and in the car driving up. And yeah, I think I did my 5, didn't I? All right, there we go. Thank you very much. I don't have a book recommendation. Now I really need to think about it. I'll get back to you folks on that. Thank you very much.